The day everything collapsed began in bright sunlight, the kind that exposes truth without mercy. Arif Solis stood in the marble lobby of the building he had helped design with his own savings and silent labor, watching security guards escort him out while the glass walls reflected a life that no longer belonged to him. His wedding ring lay heavy in his pocket, his phone buzzed with unanswered calls, and the news ticker on the lobby screen celebrated his wife's $33 million business deal as if it were a victory for love itself. In that cruel noon light, with cameras flashing outside and strangers whispering inside, Arif realized how quickly loyalty evaporates when money finally speaks. That if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories where truth rises even after betrayal, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Tales right now. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Arif had never chased the spotlight. He preferred quiet mornings, walking to work while the city woke up, sketching ideas on recycled paper, and trusting that honest effort would eventually be enough. When he married Maria Vale, she was ambitious and electric, the kind of woman who filled rooms with confidence. He admired her fire and believed love could balance it. While she pitched investors and attended conferences, Arif stayed behind, managing logistics, reviewing contracts, and solving problems no one wanted to see. He signed nothing publicly, asked for no credit, and insisted that partnership meant sacrifice. Day after day, he carried the invisible weight, believing marriage meant shared victories even if one person stood in front. The day her deal closed, the city felt festive. Sunlight poured through windows, photographers crowded the steps, and applause echoed in hallways. Arif arrived early to surprise her with flowers, only to be told that his access had been revoked. By afternoon, a legal notice arrived, cold and efficient, informing him he was no longer welcome in the building or the home they shared. The reason arrived later, whispered through mutual acquaintances and confirmed by the way Maria's eyes avoided his when they crossed paths briefly. She had chosen her lover, a charismatic investor named Lucien Cade, and the deal had sealed her confidence that she no longer needed the man who worked quietly in the shadows. Thrown out during daylight feels different. There is no darkness to hide behind, no sleep to soften the edges. Arif packed a single suitcase under the sun, neighbors watching from balconies, children playing unaware of the quiet ruin unfolding below. He walked to a modest apartment near the river, a place he had once used as a temporary office. There, amid stacks of notebooks and old servers humming softly, he sat on the floor and let the silence settle. Grief came in waves, but so did clarity. He had been faithful not because he was weak, but because he was patient. And patience, he knew, had its own power. What Maria never understood was that Arif's wealth was not loud. Years earlier, he had inherited a legacy wrapped in trust agreements and philanthropic mandates, designed to stay invisible until the right moment. He had built systems, not headlines. He owned patents quietly licensed across continents, green infrastructure woven into cities, and data platforms powering industries without ever showing his face. The valuation had crossed into the trillions long ago, but his name was buried beneath foundations and boards committed to long-term good. He believed money was most dangerous when it demanded applause. Days passed under clear skies. Arif volunteered at community kitchens during lunch hours, mentored students in the afternoons, and refined projects that had nothing to do with revenge. The betrayal burned, but it also sharpened him. He saw how people changed when numbers changed, how love could be confused for leverage. Instead of retreating, he leaned into daylight, choosing to heal where others could see him stand again. He remembered his mother's advice about dignity being a currency no market could devalue. Across town, Maria's world glittered. Interviews, daytime panels, sunlit rooftops filled with laughter that sounded a little too rehearsed. Lucien enjoyed the attention, expanding fast, borrowing faster, promising futures that rested on assumptions. The deal brought cash, but it also brought scrutiny. Contracts tightened, margins thinned, and the same systems Arif had once stabilized began to strain without him. Mistakes multiplied in daylight, and the applause softened into anxious murmurs. Arif was invited to a public forum on sustainable cities, a daytime event streamed globally. He attended without announcement, sitting among students and builders. When a panelist struggled to explain a failing model, Arif submitted a note, simple and precise. The moderator invited him on stage, unaware of the quiet giant they were welcoming. Arif spoke about patience, about building for people rather than profit, about trust as infrastructure. The room leaned in. Sunlight fell across the stage, and the clarity in his words felt like a cleansing wind. Within weeks, foundations associated with Arif's work announced new initiatives. Communities saw tangible change. Clinics opened, schools upgraded, transport improved. The press followed the results, not the man, until curiosity finally pulled the curtain back. When the truth surfaced, it did not explode, it unfolded. Articles traced the networks, the patents, the quiet ownership. The number attached to his influence stunned everyone, not because it was flashy, but because it had always been there, waiting to serve. Maria learned the truth on a bright afternoon when markets dipped and Lucien's calls went unanswered. She read an article describing the architect behind systems she had unknowingly depended on. The photograph showed Arif smiling gently beside students, daylight softening his features. Shame arrived not as a scream, but as a hollow echo. She understood then that she had mistaken silence for insignificance. The deal that had felt like a crown now felt like a borrowed hat slipping off. Lucien's empire wobbled as daylight audits exposed shortcuts. Investors fled. Promises evaporated. Maria reached out once, then again, but Arif chose boundaries over bitterness. He did not block her. He simply continued his work. Forgiveness, he believed, was not a reunion but a release. He wished her no harm, only clarity. Months later, at a midday dedication for a new public library, Arif stood among families as children ran through fountains outside. He spoke briefly, thanking builders and teachers, redirecting praise to the community. The sun was high, the future visible. He had learned that losing a marriage did not mean losing himself. In daylight, with nothing hidden, he had reclaimed purpose. As the crowd dispersed, a quiet peace settled. Arif walked along the river, the same one near his small apartment, now alive with reflection. He thought about love, about how real wealth was the ability to choose kindness without fear. He had been thrown out, yes, but he had also been set free. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Tales so more stories of resilience and second chances can reach the world. Before the ending, a special request from us. Please comment what this story made you feel, because your words matter and inspire others reading them. In the end, daylight revealed everything. The woman who chased numbers learned too late that value is not measured by applause, and the man who was underestimated proved that true power whispers before it heals. Arif did not win by returning what was taken. He won by becoming more of who he always was, standing in the sun, building a future that welcomed everyone home.